Welcome to Refinery Injury Podcast.
Hello, and welcome back to the Refinery Injury Podcast with Brooks Harrison. Brooks is a Texas trial attorney dedicated to representing refinery and plant workers who suffer catastrophic injuries in explosions, fires, and chemical accidents across the South. I'm Heidi Mack, and today we're talking about what injured workers should know in the aftermath of a refinery explosion or plant fire. This episode is Refinery Explosion or Plant Fire, What Injured Workers Should Know. Thank you so much for joining us, Brooks. How are you today?
I'm very well. Thank you, Katie, for so much for having me here.
Wonderful, wonderful. Let's get right to it, Brooks. Could you share a bit about your background and why representing refinery and plant workers in these complex cases is so important to you?
Well, yes. I mean, I have a story much similar to a lot of trial attorneys out there. I was born and raised in the Pasadena Deer Park area, which is the heart and soul of the refinery row in this region. My father worked at refineries throughout his life. I actually worked at a couple of refineries before I went off to go play college baseball and then end up here. So most of my friends, the reality of it is, if I didn't go play college baseball, the likelihood would be I would still be out there working at the refineries. So that is essentially who I've dedicated my practice to. It's the friends and families that I grew up with.
When a refinery explosion or plant fire happens, then what should workers do right away to protect themselves and others?
Well, obviously, the most important thing is to follow their safety protocol because at every refinery, at every site, at every unit, there is a safety protocol put in place. So knowing your safety protocol is of utmost importance. Uh, I always recommend whenever you're at a job site, it may be your first day. I do recommend get to know one of the older hands, the stationary hands that are out there that can tell you where some trouble spots, where other people have been injured. Basically, give you a lay of the land that you're not going to get just walking out on the premises. But back to safety protocol, your number one job is to get yourself safely away from harm's way. So the key is to follow that protocol, and in the process, attempt to help your coworkers, to help others out there as well. So it's always to have a plan and to follow that plan, and then be aware of everything around you in your unit and adjacent to your unit.
Why is it so important for those involved to immediately receive a medical evaluation, even if they feel okay at the time?
Well, yes, I mean that's always the recommendation because you don't know at first impression. It's usually there's a lot of stress, there's a lot of anxiety, and you're in shock. And the human body, when it's in shock, oftentimes the concussion of a blast can cause different brain function and cognitive issues. Releases of chemicals that can also affect us cognitively as long as pulmonarily. So it's always good to make sure you immediately, once you're safe and once your coworkers are safe, get medical attention, whether or not you think you're injured or not.
What are the specific types of evidence should workers collect immediately then after a refinery explosion or plant fire to help strengthen their legal claim?
Yes, well, it's always good to be able to identify the unit you're in and what you're working on. That's usually pretty easy. Be able to identify your coworkers because so many contractors are working with different contractors from different companies and different tasks that each contractor is out there to perform. So know who you're working around. Be able to identify everything you see, everything that you were working around. So basically, to be able to globally provide a good synopsis of what was going on when the event happened.
When and how should then an injured worker report the incident to their employer or supervisor? Like, what crucial information should they avoid disclosing or signing to safeguard their rights?
The number one thing is timing. When do I report? Because the law gives you 30 days to report an injury. That creates kind of a problem because if you're seriously injured, you're probably going to be shipped off to the hospital, or B, you're going to at least tell somebody that I'm pretty severely injured. So upon an injury, immediately report it to a superior, whether it's a supervisor or company person of whatever stripe.
So, if company investigators or insurance adjusters approach workers after a refinery accident, what should workers be aware of before making any type of statement?
See, I'm famous for telling everybody, please realize that the company, as nice as they may be approaching you post accident, post incident, um, they're already in investigation mode, and they're already in cover our ass mode. So they're looking to cover their own butts. They're looking to get out there to find anything you may say that will probably damage your case or the case of others, for the benefit of the company, of course. And so it's honestly never sign anything. And I actually always say, don't necessarily speak to company folks or company investigators or their insurance people immediately after an incident. Yes, you have to participate in the ongoing investigation whenever the government comes in, but to essentially be able to hand the company a defense for no reason is something that just shouldn't happen.
So, say they already know you, they already have you, Brooks, like, can they literally say then, like, oh, let me talk with my lawyer before they even say anything?
They certainly can, to a great extent. You certainly can. When it's specifically about you. Now, if they're asking you about what you witnessed, about the root cause analysis of an incident, that's whenever, yes, that's you have a duty to as a witness, you have a duty to respond and to tell them what you saw. You don't have a duty necessarily to tell them exactly how you think it affected you, because you may not know how it affected you at that time.
How are refinery explosions and fires then treated differently under the law compared to other workplace injuries?
Refinery incidents, it's more of a specialized type of law. It's not a car accident, but litigating a car accident is a completely different animal than litigating a complex refinery explosion. In refinery cases and in all complex cases, they're expert driven. A car accident's generally not going to be an expert driven case. It's going to be, we pretty much know what happened. And finding root cause analysis, like I said, it's expert driven, and we have been doing this so long that we pretty much know every expert that's going to testify on our side and their side. We've dealt with these folks for over 2 decades, and so that is the primary difference will be the expert analysis and the battle of the experts. And a lawyer that doesn't really have experience in expert driven litigation, they're probably going to be at a loss. So that's it, running and hiring a car wreck lawyer to help you in your litigation against a big giant multi-billion-dollar refiner is probably not a very good idea. It's kind of like hiring a plumber to do your electrician work.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, because they seem kind of similar, but they're completely different. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yes, I mean, yeah, I wouldn't run off and recommend hiring me in a car wreck. Whereas in any industrial accident, I would probably be the first person that I would hire myself.
We're talking about that seems like a mistake that could happen. Have you seen other mistakes you've seen workers or families make following a refinery accident that can really damage their case then?
Absolutely. I see it in every mass litigation. There's always a handful of families of the victims, and it's usually in death cases. They're worried about paying the whatever percentage is to a lawyer, and they said, "Well, the company's been good to us. Let's go ahead and sit down with the company and work something out." And inevitably, yes, the company comes in and kisses their ass and will do things that are uh, more emotionally based versus economically based. And I've never seen one of those families come out with the money that they actually could have come out with if they hired quality counsel.
Well, then, to wrap things up here for this episode, what do you recommend injured workers do right away to protect their legal rights after a refinery disaster?
Obviously, I recommend them get out safely. I recommend them to take notes and to think about what they went through and to make sure they can document who they were there with. then immediately thereafter, because the investigation immediately starts. I mean, the moment the incident happens, the moment it's extinguished, that's when the investigation starts. And you're not thinking about investigating, you're thinking about how do I get better and what the hell happened to me. And so, yes, you need your lawyer there filing a temporary restraining order and being involved in that investigation, and pretty soon will be litigation. You need to be there when the government officials come in and the chemical safety board comes walking in, when OSHA's there. You need representation there, whether or not you necessarily have an immediate claim or not. You at least need to have a position there at the table.
Well, Brooks, I can really see the passion that you have for this, and we really appreciate all the information that you're giving us today. And for those out there, thank you for listening to today's episode of the Refinery Injury Podcast. If you or someone you love has been affected by a refinery explosion or plant fire, visit refineryinjury.com to learn more about your options and how Brooks and his team can help. Be sure to like, leave a review, and subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode. Thank you again for joining us. We look forward to seeing you again, Brooks.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.